meeting other professionals in my field that have been doing construction and hardwood floors for a long time. Their back's problems, they got knee problems. So I was like, how do I stay in this field?
And I want to make a note that you said if it gets to the street, it starts at 15,000.
Yeah, like a lot of, at that point, you're not even calling a plumber, you're calling an excavator. Radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in the world behind smoking. So if you take smoking out of the equation and no one in the world smoked,
Radon's it.
radon is the leading cause of lung cancer now.
In a market defined by uncertainty, where every second counts, one opportunity can change everything. Are you ready to make your move? The time is now! Welcome to the Dream is Real podcast.
Hello, and thanks for tuning in to the Dream is Real podcast. This is a place if you're looking to buy, sell, invest, advance your career in real estate. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe, and turn on those notifications as we keep bringing you great content. Today is no different. I'm with Jeff Kansay of USTA. I'll say that correctly. USTA Home Inspections.
Yes, sir.
Great to meet you,
Great
and
to
I'm
meet
glad
you
you're
guys
here.
too. Thank you, Jason.
So you are you're the guy. You're the guy that basically comes in to the transaction and sets everyone at ease that everything is perfectly fine.
Yeah, all the time.
There's nothing wrong. Buy this house. Now, obviously, you play a very important role in inspections. We'll jump into that quite a bit. But tell us a little bit about you, maybe how you got into the industry.
My name is Jeff. So I got into the industry. I've had a long history in construction, about 20 years. So I loved what I do. You know, I was like an artist in school and high school and
You're a very artsy
college,
type
so
of
I was
person?
like always
Okay.
hands-on, right?
All right.
So starting construction at the age of 18, almost right out of high school, I got a chance to work for a lot of different builders, a lot of different trades, and kind of explore each one. My favorite was general construction, you know, additions, home building, because you got to see the whole process. So I was a lead guy on job sites for a long time. And then I found my niche in hardwood floor design. So I did that as a company for 10 years.
Okay.
Where we would lay hardwood floors, sand hardwood floors, install like designs and medallions. And then that eventually broke off to like doing basketball courts for different schools and organizations with the logo design. So I actually broke off from the actual labor part at some point in my business because bigger flooring companies would get these bigger jobs and prepare the floors. And I would just come in and basically draw the logos.
Got it.
Of these organizations.
So you
or the
never
school
lost that
team.
artistic part?
No, I never.
Okay.
It's always there.
Yeah, you
know?
can't lose it. I have a
It's
son
like riding a bike.
who's an artist, and he'll always.
So the longer time I spent in construction and hardwood floors, the longer it takes a beating on your body. Any contractor will tell you how tired they are at the end of the day just to get up and do it again the next day. So I was like meeting other professionals in my field that have been doing construction and hardwood floors for a long time. Their back's problems, they got knee problems. So I was like, how do I stay in this field and not end up with knee problems or back problems, you know? So then I broke off from construction into property management, where I was managing apartment buildings in Hackensack, New Jersey. And that gave me a lot of experience, over 14 years of doing that. So name
So you
it.
had 10 years on the hardwood on the floor side, another 14 years
Property management.
property
side.
management. Okay, which
So
you have to pretty much have a
Delegating
handle on everything.
contractors
Yeah.
between residents and contractors and the issues that arise in some older buildings. And so I got to see it all. So while I was doing that, I got into the inspection business slowly. First, I did some building inspection. I got my license for building inspections through the UCC. And then I got licensed to inspect hotel multiple dwellings, like municipal jobs. But that, it was that's like in the government sector. I wanted to be more public, so that's why I got into home inspections. And I think my background really helped me just explode on the home inspection end because...
Give us a sense of that, the arc of your career leading up to this point. What are some nuggets that you pulled from each step that you feel like really served you well today?
Seeing, almost like knowing what, for example, sitting in class, knowing what they were talking about before they even started it, like structure-wise. I can look at a house and tell you how it was built. I can tell you the shape of the house, the type of foundation. Like, I have all of that background. Not to say that home inspectors without a construction experience don't learn, and I know some great home inspectors that have zero construction experience. They just got really good at what they do through repetition and time. But I kind of came at it with a head start. You understand? I was doing a lot of plumbing stuff before I got into this. For example, one of my main services is sewer scopes. I've been doing sewer scopes before I got into home inspection, so that kind of gives me an edge on the industry.
So you say sewer scopes, that might be something that a buyer or maybe even a seller don't even think about as an important part.
Yeah, it's becoming more popular now, basically through, means of marketing and whatnot, but those houses that were built in the 50s, 40s, 30s, even 70s, those sewer lines are starting to show signs of,
So it's not
deterioration.
the municipality's responsibility to take care of that line?
No, the homeowner is responsible from the sewer line where it leaves their house all the way until it connects to the city sewer line. So you own that part of the sewer line, right? It could be 30 feet, it could be 180 feet. However long it is, the only way to know is by doing a sewer scope inspection, And the reason why I emphasize sewer scopes a lot is because if the problem is in your house, let's say you have a cracked sewer pipe, just for argument's sake. If the problem is in your house or in your yard, it can normally be fixed for a couple $1,000. But once the sewer line is in the street, that estimate starts at $15,000. Because now it becomes an excavation job as opposed to like a plumber's job.
Sure.
The city wants bonded excavators. There's asphalt on the street. Maybe they want a cop here. Now you have to follow what the municipalities that you're working in want you to do.
See, once it gets to the street, so if you own from the house to the street, you're talking about like at the precipice of the street, or
the sewer line doesn't connect to the city's sewer line right in front of your house at the street. So your sewer line can leave your house, leave your yard, go under the street and make a turn, and then it can go down. It could be under the street for 100 feet before it connects to the city.
Oh, see, that's
Right?
something that a lot of people
So
probably don't
especially
know.
in cul-de-sacs, cul-de-sacs have long sewer lines because it's a long street cul-de-sac, and the city's main sewer line is on that next street over where it hits that main avenue. And now you're living in a cul-de-sac that's 200 feet long. Your sewer line
See,
in the
when
street
you
could be
originally
200
said that,
feet long.
my mind went to, all right, from front door to curb. It's not that at all. Yeah, I guess we think sewers. Oh, it's right there in the street. It's not. It could be. You said as much as 150 feet or more.
That's why I always offer that service. Like, if you're going in and you want to do a home inspection, but you don't want to do a sewer scope, it's like, that tells me like you really don't want to know what's going on. Right. It's like, it should, in my opinion, it should come hand in hand with a home inspection. It's not included in a home inspection. It's a separate service. But like, if you're not doing it, you're crazy. Because a small issue could turn into a big one in 5 years. And
So what are some of the issues that can happen if you have a
well, we
problem
see
with the
this.
sewer line?
I'll touch up like in busy city areas. A lot of street movement, a lot of cars, a lot of settlement. Over time, over 70 years, 100 years, that soil under the street is going to settle. And what's in that soil is your sewer pipes. So sometimes your sewer pipes could shift with the ground movement. Maybe you'll have openings in your sewer line that are bringing in roots.
Right.
And how fast are those roots growing in? We've seen sewer lines that were completely clogged from roots all the way. Sometimes we're able to push through roots and get through to see the rest of the line, but sometimes they're completely clogged. And those are the main issues we find: is root intrusion, soil, pipe settlement, pipe movement, and sometimes we find big cracks in the pipes too.
Right.
Depends on how old and the location.
And I want to make a note that you said if it gets to the street, it starts at 15,000.
Yeah, like at that point, you're not even calling a plumber, you're calling an excavator. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because they're the ones that are licensed and bonded to be able to
Sure. Yeah, you can't just dig up the street, right?
yeah.
So,
Yeah. So it becomes a process, and plumbers are just gonna say, most of the even sewer guys I know, they're like, we can't give you a price until we talk to the municipality and get everybody lined up, and.
right.
So it's hard to get a cost estimate on that. What's it going to cost? So first you have to go to the municipality, tell them what you want to do, then they'll tell you what you have to do, and then you run from there.
Yeah. So if you're a homeowner currently, I'm not condoning this by any stretch, but it could be out of sight, out of mind. But if you're buying a home, you most certainly want to know if there's an issue out there. Have you run into that and had that kill a deal?
Kill a deal, normally it can be negotiated upon, because a house without a working sewer is not in the definition of a sanitary household, right?
Right.
If your sewer is backed up or clogged up or whatnot. But most of the times, if it's in decent condition, or even if it's in bad condition, it can be negotiated into the price factor as something that the new homeowner is going to take care of when they move in, or they'll take care of it beforehand.
Right.
It's a pretty serious thing. Never really had sewer issues kill deals, unless the person just didn't want to deal with anything. They just want to move into a ready house.
Sure.
We've been in houses that were brand new and that had some sewer issues. Every house is going to have some type of issue. It's just how bad that issue is.
Sure.
It's like deciding factor and negotiation factor.
What are some of the most common issues that you find on inspections?
Minor settlement. You always have some type of settlement in the sewer lines, and people always flush grease down their drains. And we find a lot of grease buildup in many homes. Like that thing you said, out of sight, out of mind. When people flush things down the toilet, they think it's a black hole that just disappears into nothing.
Goes somewhere.
It's not. And grease doesn't mix with water. So even running hot water and flushing grease down,
not gonna do anything.
doesn't do anything. Your grease doesn't travel far. It'll stay within that first 20, 30 feet and just keep building up on itself. It separates itself from the water flows down, and then the grease just gets hard and builds up in the pipe. Over time, that grease could be as hard as concrete, that you won't even be able to get to it with a drain snake.
Right.
You would have to cut that portion of the pipe out and replace it. So that's the most common find: grease, minor root intrusion, and settlement. Yeah.
So with the sewer scope, that's not part of a regular inspection. You had said that. Right?
Correct.
So what are some other types of inspections that you should consider alongside your standard inspection?
The second leading one is, I would say, radon tests. Radon tests have been happening for a long time. Almost every realtor is like, hey, you're doing a radon test? Like, everyone's familiar with it, right?
Right.
They're just starting to get familiar with sewer scopes, but radon testing is like, you never know until you test. Now, this Long Island area is a low to moderate risk. But if you go upstate New York into the state side, now you have high risk areas. Northern New Jersey, mid Jersey, it's all high risk areas. So you never know until you test. Radon gas is invincible. You can't see it, you can't smell it, and it's all over the world. There's radon everywhere in the world. We measure how much of that radon is actually getting into your house.
Right.
And how much you're breathing in.
Right.
That's
And
the biggest
it
factor
could be
when it
harmful
comes
to
to
your
that.
health, right?
Oh yeah, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in the world behind smoking. So if you take smoking out of the equation and no one in the world smoked,
Radon's it.
radon is the leading cause of lung cancer now. So do you want...
Now,
I feel sorry for some people, because sometimes I'll inspect a home that these people have been living in for 16 years. They never did a radon test. And we do a radon test, and the levels are like super high. And now the buyer's like, and then the sellers are like, we had no idea. We lived here for...
right, and now it's in the back of their head. They've been
Right.
living there for 16 years.
Did this affect me? It's a long term. It affects people in the
Right.
long term. So it's like, did this affect me? So always, even in low to moderate areas, we do find pockets of high radon. It depends on the substrate that your house is constructed on. If there's a rocky area, mountainy area, stuff like that.
Now,
you
where
tend to
does the
find higher
radon break down
levels.
from? Is it?
It breaks
is it
down from uranium in the center of the Earth's core.
soil?
And it breaks down to like 13 or 15 different chemicals on the periodic table before it becomes radon. But when we measure radon, we don't actually measure radon. We measure the breakdown of the half-life of radon is 3.5 days. So in 3.5 days, it breaks down to polonium and bismuth. So those are the two cancer-causing agents that we measure in the house, right? Radon gas itself is not a problem. It becomes a problem after the breakdown.
After the breakdown. How long does it stay in the house?
It's always in the house. National indoor average of radon is 1.3. So there's always some radon in the house. In under 2 is okay. Over 4.0 picocuries per liter, that's a tongue twister.
Picocuries.
Picocuries per liter. Over 4, the EPA states that you should do mitigation.
So, I don't want to downplay it because obviously, big deal. But fixing it is not as much of a big deal, right?
No, most radon mitigation systems can be installed for under $5,000 in a home.
Okay.
You know, and it's an environmental issue. So most of the time, the seller says, "All right, I'll do it," because they have to. It's
Sure.
an environmental factor. You know.
It sounds like whether you're looking to sell your home or not, it's probably good to get.
I
it
always say
tested.
get a radon test. If you've never heard about radon, get a radon test. You don't know until you test.
And is that something that how would you test for radon outside of a home inspection? Could you call somebody in the field?
Yeah, anyone who tests radon
Okay.
can come out and do a radon test for you.
Got it. So you could essentially come out and do a radon test.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. That's good to know. What are some other extra I use that term extra inspections that you could do?
So we covered radon, sewer scope. We also have wood-destroying organisms and wood-destroying insects.
Like pests?
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's a big one too. You know, you want to know if the house had history of termite damage. Does it have termites now? So we do a little bit extra poking around when it comes to that service.
Now, termites, you generally can see them, but not always, right?
No, you won't know until. So when we do a termite inspection, the biggest thing I do is I have a screwdriver and I poke every single piece of wood I see in the basement.
Okay.
Any type of wood that's close to ground level. We're trying to poke it, see if our screwdriver goes through it, because then a termite will eat a 2x4, the entire inside of it, and he'll leave the whole shell. Like it
Smart.
looks like it's never been touched. It'll be paper thin, and it looks like it's never been touched. And just by looking at it, you can't always tell. So that's why you always poke around inside the house.
You can tell me this is crazy and not true, but I heard that they're pretty much blind and they just kind of wander around and look to stumble upon. And then when they find it, they tell everybody else, right?
Yeah, they kind of operate like ants. They have a different hierarchy structure. It's very similar, but just like ants have colonies, soldiers, queens, those termites have the same thing, and they feed on wood. They don't just nest in it. So there's a difference.
Right.
There's bees, carpenter bees and whatnot that nest in wood, but termites feed on wood, which is what makes them so dangerous, because every year it's about, I forgot what the number is. I might even lie when I say this, like $1.5 billion in construction costs due to termite damage nationwide every year. They will literally eat the posts out of the bottom of your home, you know? And they live underground. So you'll never see a termite come above ground and walk into a house. It'll find that piece of wood that's touching the ground in your foundation,
work its way
or
up.
on your deck, and just work its way up from the middle of that. There was a house, 10 years, lots of crawl space, lots of termite damage. Homeowners never knew it.
That could be going on right under your nose right now.
Yeah.
And that's why, so that is also an additional service that you should take advantage of. So, needless to say, a home is probably the most important purchase you'll ever make. So,
The Dream Select Bootcamp app helped me pass my real estate exam and continues to help me to this day as a new agent. The AI mentor comes in clutch at open houses. Sign up today. You won't regret it.
Everybody's dream.
yeah. So, what would you say to the homeowner that says, "I'll waive inspection"? I think I know the answer. But.
Yeah. So in short, you're crazy, right? I've had contractors who would tell their realtor, "Why do I need a home inspection? I'm a contractor. I know what I'm talking about. I build houses. I work on houses." But then I'll do the home inspection for them and they'll understand the value.
Right.
We look at things differently.
How so? Delve into that because
The way we're trained is to see, for example, brand new house, old house. We inspect the old house like it's an old house, and it's the same across the board. So the contractor might look at the roof and say, "Oh, it's fine," but we're looking at the little details that can cause problems down the line. Everyone can see a missing shingle, right? But when we're on that roof, we see the backside of the chimney, or not every contractor is hands-on. A GC hires other people to do their work, right? So a GC might be a professional builder, but he's not familiar with how heating systems work, for example, or how HVAC systems work. He's not familiar with problems that can happen in a sewer line. So even the first people who everyone always thinks that'll waive a home inspection is a contractor because he knows what he's talking about. Or my buddy's a contractor, he's gonna come check out the house. Sure. It's different. We've trained so diligently and so differently that we look at things with a different eye. And most of those contractors, they've called me back on their flips and say, "Hey, can you check this one out for me too?" Because now they understand the value after they did it.
It's really protecting your assets.
Yeah, basically.
What are some of the biggest red flags that you can see in a home?
So off the bat, if you're a home buyer, if you're a realtor, I would say look out for, once you pull up to a house, the first thing I look at when I pull up, it's so habitual, I look at the roof line. Where the roof peaks,
Okay.
I'll look at the top of the roof line. And if it's nice and straight, great. But sometimes people alter their homes. They'll put a bedroom in the attic. They'll cut that one post that was holding the middle of the attic up or whatnot. So if a roof has a structural issue, you look at it from the outside and it'll have a sag on the ridge. You're like, that's gonna cost some money to fix.
Sure.
Other red flags, let's say you're walking down in the basement and you see columns everywhere, temporary columns, those telescoping columns. One here, one there. When you see columns in a house, the way homes are built, they're aligned. The middle of the house has columns. It's got a girder, beam. But when you start seeing columns randomly placed in a house and not in line, and columns without footers that are just sitting on the floor, does the basement ceiling or the first floor now have a structural issue?
Sure.
That they're trying to hold up with all these columns.
Is that because there was an issue before that was there was a temporary fix in place?
They're usually temporary fixes. So when a home is built, they don't just place columns in, they build footers for them first.
Right.
And then they put the column in that. So you'll never see the footer. Basement floor is slab, concrete slab. So if you see columns just sitting on the basement floor and holding up the structure above, the floor joists, you're like, what's going on here? That makes me dig a little further as to be like, exactly why did they put these columns here? I'll even ask some questions. Did you have structural issues? Who did this? Did the homeowner do it or did a contractor do it? Anytime we see a temporary column, if it's needed, we say either repair what's going on with the floor joists or put in a real column with a real footer, a long-term fix as opposed to a column that's just sitting on the floor because that could get knocked over too.
Right. Yeah, and if you're just John Q homeowner, you may not know what you're looking at.
Yeah, maybe you're like, let's move this column out of the way so we could do something.
Right. So as realtors, how can we do a better job of working alongside folks in your profession?
I think preparing everybody for the home inspection is the most important part because we walk into homes and the attic is not accessible, or the home's main utilities are not accessible. They have storage in the basement and the water line is blocked, or the gas meter is blocked. Main utilities are blocked. We can't get to the HVAC. So having everything accessible so we don't have to come back, and that delays the process too if you're not ready. Let's just say we couldn't get into the attic, or we got into the attic and we couldn't see anything because there was so much storage in the way. But from the outside, we saw a little sag in the ridge, but we can't explore further because we can't get there. Now the buyer's like, I want to know what's going on there.
Sure.
That delays the process for everybody, So make all areas of the home accessible: attic, basements, main utilities, main service, electrical panels. Someone's going to come and try to look at all that. And if I can't see something in my report, it gets disclaimed.
Right.
We couldn't see this, hire an electrician. I couldn't get to the electrical panel.
And a lot of times it's
Hire
in
an
those-
electrician to come check out your electrical panel, you know? I mean, we will come back, but then now you're paying twice. Do you want to pay twice? That's not right.
Right. So if it's blocked, you have to come back. You're paying twice.
Yeah, you're paying twice.
Okay.
Basically.
I can remember a story where somebody had waived the inspection, and there was a back room that was like an office, and there was boxes stacked up, right? And they stayed there, and they're perfectly fine. You know, when we move in, you can just take those. Well, the boxes are moved. Get a phone call that, hey, you know, I have this like black soot on the wall. There was black mold because there was everything was copper, right? So right behind there was the pipe that I'm gonna butcher the actual technical name of it, but you know, it's the line that runs down and ultimately runs out of the house, right? And sure enough, that was compromised water, and they had black mold issue.
Yeah.
You could have solved that.
You could have saw that if those boxes weren't in the way.
Right.
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 So I would say, as a realtor, whether you're the seller's agent or buyer's agent, just let them know the inspector wants to see the electrical box inside your attic, in the basement, water line, utility lines. Prepare.
You think there's some element of maybe buyers not wanting to know and being emotionally involved with the house? I mean, a real estate transaction can be very emotional.
There is a lot of that, and sometimes you could find the biggest problem on earth, and the buyer doesn't care because they love the house.
Right.
They'll take care of it, or they have the budget for it, you know? So it's all about the buyer's perspective. We don't always know what's going on in the buyer's life and their outlook on the home. Anytime I come to a home inspection, I like to spend a few minutes talking to my client or on the phone beforehand. What's their objective? Is this an investment property? Is this a rental property? Are you going to live in the house? So it doesn't change the scope of the inspection, but it changes, you know, what you're gonna point out as, hey, this needs to be done right away.
Sure.
You know, if you're gonna, you know, in any situation. So I've had situations where the home had structural issues, but the buyer was like, I don't care. I have the budget for it. I'm gonna take care of it. We'll get some credits. So some people want to move in and not deal with anything, and some people want to get their hands dirty.
Right. So, but it's your job to make sure that if you see
we
something, say something.
We want our clients to know what they're facing before they own the problem, right? They're buying the house.
Right.
You don't want to buy the problem you aren't aware of.
Right.
And if you live in it, now you have to fix it.
What are some stories from over the years that particularly stick out to you, maybe of issues that were uncovered, how that impacted the transaction, or how it helped somebody to avoid a major problem?
So the biggest stories I hear from my clients who I found major issues for is that they were able to get credit. Some of my buyers calling back say, I got $30,000 credit on that structural issue. I got
And they'll actually let you know.
Yeah, they'll call me. I'll ask them, you know, because I like to have a relationship with people, especially my previous clients that, you know, investors, whatnot, that keep calling back. Hey, what'd you guys do about that sewer issue? There's been instances where the seller said, oh, they'll take care of the problem, and they relined the pipe, and they did, you know. Or what'd you guys end up doing with that structural issue? Are you following through with it, whatnot? I like to get an idea of how people use my inspection reports,
Yeah,
right?
and that's good so you can QC your work, but also there's probably times where people say, oh, we opted not to use that home. Thank you for finding
like
that.
the whole home was fine. There's
Right.
an instance where the whole home was fine. I'm like, well, I got nothing to write up over here. You know, minor things, right? Not big deal things. But then we do the sewer inspection. They did the addition on the home. They rebuilt the whole home. Everything looks brand new, but the sewer line is still 75 years old.
Right.
They didn't touch that. Then we find a major sewer problem.
Right.
You know.
Well, I can speak for myself. If you were to find something for me, and if I were to walk away from a transaction, when I do find my home, I'm calling you to come back to the next
Oh,
one.
absolutely,
Right?
absolutely. I mean, that does happen. You know, some of my buyers have hired me for more than one inspection. And you know, some people don't want to deal with all the issues. You know, too many major issues for me.
Sure.
You know, even if they have the budget, they're like, I don't want to deal with all this. Next house.
Well, you hit on a couple really important points. I think your background, understanding construction, the ability to look at a home and know how it's laid out there. I think those are all advantages. How would our audience get in touch with you to hire you for your services?
You can find me on Google, USTA Home Inspections, USTA Home Inspections, USTA Home Pro, USTAHomePro.com, or just simply give me a call or text, 201-484-6453.
Oh, that's hold on. I'm not going to stop this because you are both New York and New Jersey, correct?
Oh, yeah.
And you're a trainer. So if somebody's looking to get into the industry, you're affiliated at least with a training program. I think it's important to at least hit on this. That there's a pretty unique opportunity that's going to be coming up for both New York and New Jersey. Right?
Yeah. So,
Okay,
I'm personally not familiar with anyone that does this. I'm a field trainer and a classroom instructor as well for New Jersey Academy of Home Inspectors. Now they're working on getting their licensing for New York so they can certify and license inspectors who want their New York license. So when this happens, you're going to be able to take one course and get licensed in both states. I haven't heard of that before. I paid twice. Everyone before this has paid twice because New York has their own curriculum. So they're going to combine that to match the standards of practice in New York and New Jersey. So teach both of them one class, one tuition rate.
That sounds like a good opportunity for somebody who wanted to break into the industry.
It's a no-brainer for anybody in the tri-state area. Anybody who wants to become a new home inspector, New Jersey Academy of Home Inspectors, NJAHI.com. And that's where you can sign up. We're one of the leading home inspection certification schools in New Jersey.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad I remembered that. That was the one thing I said. What did we talk about before? Awesome.
From a business standpoint, it's you save $5,000. You don't have to take a separate course in New York. You know, as long as you're doing your work with a New Jersey and New York licensed home inspector, it qualifies. Those hours qualify for both.
You had me at save $5,000.
Are you kidding me? I wish I had saved $5,000.
Fair enough. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us today. And thank you as well for joining us. This is the Dream is Real podcast. Remember, like, share, subscribe, follow us. You can find us on Instagram at Dream Select Realty, on X at Dream Select Home. If you want to be part of the program, send us an email at hometeam@dreamselectrealty.com. We'll see you next time. Just remember, the dream is real.